I know, it's difficult to toot your own horn, but with numbers like that, you gotta say something, right? So we've been working very hard the last time. This is our 10th anniversary here at the Richmond Hill Golf Club. So I've been here now August 2015. I came here August 2005. So it's 10 years at the Richmond Hill Golf Club, our headquarters for wisdom in golf and for Lifeguards, partial, of course, with Edouard Montaz out in France. Edward, that was an amazing video you did last week. Your accent is superb. A lot of people are going to really enjoy your charm, and I always enjoy your company when we get together, and I already miss you. So this edition this week, we're going to continue on our little quest. And Edward had passed on the baton of me getting to the fairway woods and the driver. But before we do that, we really need to work on the grip. So we talked about how we bring the hands together. And we want to be a little more intricate with the lead hand. This lead hand is really important. So we're going to go inside. I'm going to show you a little trick from our kitchen. Well, it's a knife, so you understand, but in the kitchen you'll be able to practice that. And you do the same thing on a steering wheel. You'll be able to practice your grip on the steering wheel, and you'll notice how it's really going to improve your golf game when it comes to, you know, striking solid shots and cutting through. So this is for our cutting pressure and our compression on the golf ball, okay? So now I'm going to show you a little trick on how to practice that at home as well. So without further ado, let's head inside. Okay. So we have our kitchen knife. I put a little, obviously some protection on that. I don't want to cut up anything. I don't want to cut myself. So you'll notice if I was slicing through something very dense like a potato, notice how I would be using and gripping the knife. See how my knuckle, the index knuckle right there, is applying pressure directly on top. Thumb comes alongside. So notice a nice V that forms right here. Okay? So in golf, we're going to be applying pressure through the cut of the dandelion that way. Now notice how these fingers are leveraging against that pressure point. Now you see what nice gap that fits right there? Well, that's where your left thumb's going to come right here when you grip it. You see that? And then I'm going to show you how to reunite this pinky with the rest of the fingers. Okay, so we apply pressure, not with the thumb, but with the index finger, and you'll feel as time goes that the tendon in that index finger is going to stretch out very nicely. And then you see how nice of a V that forms. So when we apply pressure to play golf, we're applying pressure toward the target. Notice how my right hand looks more underneath. That's what it's going to look like when you're gripping the club. You don't want that hand to be on top. We don't want downward pressure to the ball. We want throughward pressure through ball, grass, ground out toward the target. That's a very important distinction to make, okay? So let's look at a golf grip now. So if the club face was pointing down, I would be applying that pressure this way. Notice how I have that same knife the grip. I slip my left thumb in there, and now I can reunite my hands. Now notice how, you remember we talked about that left hand holding the umbrella or holding a railing. So you see how solid it is on the grip. Let's come the other side. Notice how that heel pad is on top, so it feels like I can really clamp down on this grip. Now, the grip size does matter. So what you need to do is when you go to your golf store, this is a mid-sized grip because I have quite a large hand, and you notice how my glove, you know, when you try on a glove for the first time, you want it to feel pretty snug, not to the point where it's going to tear, but to the point where it needs to stretch a little bit. So you want it to be tight like a drum, so it's like a second layer of skin. Now, see how the heel pad fits right on top? And I really feel, the bottom line, I feel like I can apply some solid pressure on that grip. If I hold it this way, see that? Now there's a gaping hole there, and it doesn't feel like I can hold it with as much security. There we go. So we want to feel a nice secure grip. This is an extra bone that we're connecting to the rest of the bones of the body. So imagine how the bones of the lower arm are connected to the upper arm through ligaments, tendons, and muscles. Same thing here. These are your portable ligaments that wrap around this bone here to put it together. So now we can put, remember when we did the last time in the first episode, we put all the fingers around the grip. Lift the pinky, bring the hands together. Well, you can leave your pinky between the index finger and the middle finger of your lead hand, or you can leave it, notice how when the hands come together, if this is too much of a stretch, you can leave it on top of the index finger or between the index and the ring finger of your bottom hand. See that? Now when you interlock, now I know many of you are going to be shown how to interlock your fingers. Well, so you notice how I go 10 finger, okay? Notice how my V is intact. I go overlap, that V is intact. I go interlock, notice how nothing changes. Well, that's because I can only interlock halfway. See that? If I go all the way in, see what happens to my hand now? Those portable ligaments can't wrap around that grip anymore. So do not ever go deep interlock all the way in, because now you can't hold the club in the fingers. You can't sling it. So very important, that index hook's on, thumb comes alongside. See how the fingers are neatly wrapped around the grip, and how this pinky clamps down the bottom hand on top of the top hand and secures the top hand against the lead hand here, right? Sorry, the bottom hand against the top hand. And I really feel that is clamped on. So it feels like it's a unit, one piece that hinges up and down. So short overlap or long overlap, interlock, 10 finger is fine. If you still love this grip after you've done it, keep it. It's a fantastic way to hold the club, as long as both hands feel that they're moving together as one piece, okay? So if the grip is too small, you won't feel that you can clamp onto it as securely, and the same thing if it's too big. So if it's the right size, you'll feel like you can really have a secure grip on that. All right? So that takes care of how your hands function on the club. Okay? There's your interlock. Notice how it's a partial interlock, and everything stays intact. So 10 finger, or 8 finger I should say, overlap, short overlap, interlock, and then that's it. So I hope you find a solid way to hold the club. And then let's move on to our compression box. Find yourself a door frame now. Say I'm going to put the ball right up against this door frame. So imagine I have a door right there. I took it left-handed so you can get a better angle because of the room here. So I've got my knife, I got my pressure here, a solid lead hand. And I'm going to place the ball in a way, or I'm going to place myself in a way where I feel like I can really apply some nice pressure into the door frame. So you'll notice if my head is forward while it's in front of the door frame, I can't see the ball anymore. So the head is going to be behind the door frame, and your body is in a way where it can really compress. Now you'll notice the weight has to be on that lead leg. If your weight's on the back foot, then all of a sudden, whoop, now you're starting to apply some upward pressure. Now what puts the ball in the air is the face of the club. Your goal is to take the sole of the club and go cut that dandelion stem. So notice, in order to get to that dandelion stem, see that? I got to get through the ball first. So the simple task of going for that dandelion stem, and we're going to have solid contact with the ball. But the brain is going to predict that when we go for that dandelion stem, then the sole of the face of the club is going to meet the ball and compress the ball forward. So I'm anticipating that elastic collision. So you put the ball against the door frame like that and practice applying pressure with that knuckle and that index finger right through that door frame, and that'll really help not only stretch that index finger, but give you an idea on how things are going to transpire through that moment of impact. So practice that grip, right? Practice that nice compression. You'll notice that when you apply that pressure, that lead hand is going to be pushing rearward, and the trail hand is pushing forward, and there's a nice rotational leverage that occurs there, exactly like in hockey. So if you play hockey, you're collecting the puck here. See how we're putting pressure on that hockey stick? There's opposing forces here in the hand, so we're collecting and releasing, and you notice as we're releasing, that lead hand is curling under as that trail hand is releasing over. So it's a fantastic way to experience what golf is all about. So practice that, practice your grip, practice applying some pressure on that door frame, and keep practicing that cutting of the dandelion. And then we'll get to the fairway woods and the driver in our next episode, okay? Because you got to be ready for that. You got to be really solid before we get to that, okay? So stay with that 7-iron. Let's keep going.